After you've completed all the best practices for Amazon, your PPC, your SEO, your design, and catalog are set up, you may want to consider some advanced strategies. And today we talk to Troy Johnston, who's a co-founder of Seller.Tools, and he gives us some insights into some of the advanced strategies like chat flows and many others in today's podcast. This is the My Amazon Guy podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Pope, founder of the agency My Amazon Guy. Tune in each week to learn how to grow your Amazon sales. All right, I'm now joined by Troy Johnston. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much, Stephen. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, you are an expert in things that I'm a little weaker in, and I'm excited to talk about it. So at My Amazon Guy, we are full force within the Seller Central ecosystem. But sometimes after you've checked all those boxes, it makes sense to check some additional advanced strategies. So today, I'm really excited to talk to you, Troy. And before we kind of go into some of those strategies, just in case somebody hasn't heard of Seller.Tools before, go ahead and introduce what you guys do and who you are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So at Seller.Tools, we, to your point, that's really where we focus, is how we can create an all-in-one suite that focuses a little bit more on the advanced strategies. As a team of sellers ourselves, we really wanted to see what could give us a competitive advantage in the Amazon marketplace. And as time has gone on, we've been a few years in the business as sellers and as SaaS operators with Seller.Tools. It has kind of been that consistent thread. What's the advanced, unique strategies we can deploy that are focused on growth? There's great maintenance tools, and we utilize those as well. But we really want the growth aspect. What's giving us disproportionate impact on ranking, capturing more reviews, sort of the 80-20 of Amazon success, and how we can build features around that.
And if you were to look at the list of services your tools incorporate, I mean, it's rather large. That you kind of hit on a few of those typical areas, but there's a lot that you guys have done and programmed. So talk to me a little bit about the history. Like, how long has Seller.Tools been around? Why did you guys create what you did, and where are you heading next?
Yeah, I mean, the platform was really born out of one of my business partners, one of the other founders of the platform, developed his own kind of set of tools that weren't really meant for commercial use. It was really just for his brand, solving some of the problems that he had, and sort of getting an edge. And at that point in time, things like search volume were very new. Doing keyword research at an elevated level was kind of rare. People were running auto suggest and doing some of those more typical approaches with keyword research. And that was really kind of the cornerstone, both in terms of the strategy and how the inception of the platform came to be. It was a seller solving his own problem. And then myself and one of the other co-founders kind of got added into the mix as he was looking at a little bit more elevation on the development side. And then where I came in terms of saying, hey, we really need to kind of open this up and think about from a customer perspective. And my business partner, Brendan Morris, who I'm referring to, he himself is a 8-figure seller. He's got unique challenges at the scale of business that he has. And so I had to kind of say that's great. Those are great challenges that you have, but we've got to make this broadly available. And we've got to think about what is somebody who's just starting, or maybe has a foundation, or maybe shares your challenges, and make sure it resonates across that spectrum of sellers at different levels. And then enterprise, we have consultants and enterprise level clients that need tens of thousands of keywords and utilize our API to the fullest potential. So that's our fun challenge, I would say, today. Understanding that's kind of where we started, is now it is how we take more advanced things, make them digestible, but then make sure in that spectrum of customers and users, everybody gets the full utility, realizes the full potential of what we can do.
So as a power user of technology tools for the purpose of marketing myself, I find it fascinating to see how much technology has evolved, right? So like I used to pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month for the same tech and a very small component of what you guys offer for under $200. And I use tools like Conductor Searchlight to track my own keywords of my own website when I was focused on website SEO before I was my Amazon guy. And so it's just really neat to see all this. Of the suite of tools that you guys have, which one are you the most proud of?
I would have to probably say what we do now with ManyChat, which is really the API. We've kind of opened up sellers' data to where they can use it in a strategic way. So instead of just data, numbers on a screen, we're thinking of how do we orient that to where it gives sellers positive results, right? And we cover some of, we check some of those boxes too when it comes to keyword tracking. But then how can we get creative with that where maybe you meet a certain threshold that you want for your keyword tracking? It triggers an alert. Maybe you get a Facebook Messenger. We can even take it as far as, okay, you've met, or your keyword rank, let's say it's fallen out of position. You could even trigger an email because our API will tell whatever tool you'd like through Zapier, okay, we've fallen off page 1. Let's trigger this promotional email that drives sales through this keyword to drive up rank. That sounds all very advanced, but it's all accessible now. So I think with what we do with the API, there's just so much potential, but ManyChat is often where we land because it's just, it's in such stark contrast to what many Amazon sellers and brand owners are accustomed to of the transactional nature of Amazon, where they're just trying to realize the sale versus owning the customer engagement, owning the customer journey, completing those important Amazon objectives, getting keyword ranking, getting more reviews, building your list because you're engaging with that customer. Then you're getting their email, you're getting their phone number, you're building a CRM, and that's in stark contrast to maybe your competitor is just realizing a sale and making a quick buck. So I think in terms of, because there's that long list of benefits, that feature set with our API and ManyChat has evolved the most, and I think is the most fruitful for most sellers.
So let's go into some detail on your ManyChat flow, and this is a strategy that not as many sellers do, right? It's on the list of advanced strategies. I'd say it's on the most advanced spectrum, because it requires some sophistication and a lot of control. Like, corporations are not executing this well, right? It's like the side hustler, 6 and 7 figure brand owners who have ownership that are figuring this out and then like cracking it, right? So it's not easy to do. There's even some agencies that like specialize in the setup work on this stuff. And because like we at My Amazon Guy, we don't specialize on this. We're more internal to Seller Central. So walk me through how sellers are using this more advanced of a strategy with chat marketing right now, and like what people should do and best practices. Feel free to go into some detail.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's and this is where to your point, because it's more advanced and it can feel out of reach. Just the breadth of choices and potential becomes very intimidating for a lot of sellers, and we know that as well. That is one of the big reasons.
Which is I like how you emphasize accessibility. I think that's good marketing, by the way. But I think you guys have made it accessible. Keep going. Yeah,
no, and that's we sort of analyze that. We try to see, okay, what's the sticking point? Is we know our features do X, Y, and Z. It opens up really such a big world of potential. And the biggest sticking point is, when you use ManyChat or any other chat marketing platform. Now, we use ManyChat. We're one of their, we actually won their top developer award, which has been great. They've been great partners to us. Is the flows themselves. And the flows are essentially, you can think of it as the journey that you take a customer on, that you kind of build out in the outset. You sort of set that stage to where if you have a customer come in through an email, through a Facebook ads, the flow is the journey from which you interact with them. And you can automate all that.
Put that one on my tombstone. That was a good one. The flow is the journey.
Yeah. So I mean, that's really that can be the sticking point. That's what's so powerful. But we knew that. So we after really digging into it and seeing, okay, what are the challenges, the struggles that sellers are having? So we've actually developed kind of a library of Amazon specific strategy flows to where completely for free, sellers can tap into these flows and run things like simple discount promotions. They could run a post-purchase flow where, if you have an insert where a customer is, maybe they're getting a value add, an ebook or something along those lines, you can take them through a flow. You can build loyalty. You can incentivize things that are even conducive for Amazon. If you have a product that is subscribe and save friendly, supplements, topicals, those types of things, you can incentivize customers taking advantage of that type of offer to get them into subscribe and save. Again, I use incentivization as a very careful term because this is a realm where you can go overboard.
Amazon compliant. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because you're incentivizing staying in the Amazon ecosystem, right? The TOS is the spirit of it is saying when a customer becomes yours, you enter the gray, and then your execution could lead you to the black, right? So what you really want to do is try to keep them in the Amazon ecosystem so that the perception, the vague language that is the TOS, you are handling it with more care. Again, that's my everybody has their own, interpretation of that vague language. But that brings me back, like I said, to the flows themselves. And offering that for free was huge for us because we knew if you knocked out the biggest impediment to somebody using these powerful resources, when you can import a flow, it takes about 5-10 minutes to import a flow. You sort of you kind of got the weapon in your hand, and then it's what are you going to do with it next? So we knew it needed to be strategy specific, needed to be free, and we wanted to kind of remove the excuse to where anybody at any level can get started with ManyChat, and the strategy is baked in. And then we just have the functions. The functions that make the flow shine are what we do at Seller.Tools.
So let's dumb this down because this is super advanced stuff, right? So like I'm a customer and I am going to interact with said insert, or I've got your email, or I've somehow got in contact with the brand. So what's that first part of that flow? Like walk me through the triggers.
Sure. I mean, a really great example would be if you are running, let's say, we're in Q4. Let's say you're running a seasonal promotion. You're delivering a Facebook ad that will direct a customer to a ManyChat flow. Something even, very simple of 15% off. That would be clear in the ad copy, the ad creative. That customer comes into your ManyChat flow. You very easily present them with that discount. You can use an optimized link to drive them to your product detail page to buy that product if you want any sort of ranking benefit. But already you have a customer coming into your flows. You're offering them a discount. You're building your list because you're engaging with them. And it really could stop there. You could say, hey, purchase this product, a discounted product. Our service facilitates sharing those single-use promo codes. We do that through our promotions integration. And then your follow-up.
That's a big deal because if you just have one generic code, it can get abused, it can get released. Somebody could use it multiple times, right? So I like the single code concept. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you could offer up that code, have them purchase, and then time your follow-up as you would like. If you want to see if they have any feedback, or if you want to have a review request included in there, you could really have your flow be as simple as that, where again, you have to think of the benefits in that.
So let's say there's 1,000 people that got into the flow one way or another, and we gave them the code, and then only 10 people used it. How could the flow help?
If only 10, well, we have two different ways we could limit. We have a counter, so we can limit the number of people that come in the door. So let's say you only wanted 20 people to even see the deal. And if, the 21st person comes in and says, sorry, this offer is expired for today, follow back up with us for more great deals. But those 20 people can go in, and then you could share 20 unique single-use promo codes, which we can facilitate.
So limitations are good. I like that. But what can you use this as a way to follow up to make sure more people are using it as well?
You can, yeah. I mean, and you could kind of invert the limitation, or you could even open it up even more. That's where my mind goes with some of our free flows, because this is an example of a free flow that we have.
Sure.
Where you could welcome more people in, and that's the beauty of getting anybody into ManyChat. If 100 people come in, you have their names. You can request, again, additional information. You can deliver promo codes to their email. Opens up the opportunity to get their email. That's really where some of the baked-in benefits. I have to be careful because I often overlook it. But again, if somebody's just transacting on Amazon, they're relying on PPC. It's a nameless, faceless. Yes, their ROI is there, but there's absolutely no. There's not as much continuity in terms of the value you get in that transaction. So I think a discount promotion is a great, because that's an easy one for most sellers to really grasp. They may be already running this through email, for some of their customers, but they may not be building their list. They may not be growing the potential of who could be taking advantage of those offers.
And I'm looking at the list of things that you guys do. You guys even have like a collected blacklist. So I assume that's like people who've abused this, or like, buy it and then try and resell and stuff like that. Is that kind of what's happening?
Yes. Yeah. Really powerful feature because, we run different programs, whether it's a rebate program, whether it's a discounted giveaway program, things that are really awesome for customers. And anything that gets to be too awesome it runs the risk of being trying to,
Abused.
yeah, exactly. People trying to take advantage of it. So there's some really cool features in there. We'll auto add people that have refunded your orders, auto add people that have canceled your orders. So you automatically keep those, those folks out of your offers. You can share your blacklist. It's been great for masterminds and networking communities, where if they're seeing, hey, I've got these 10, folks that have been trying to abuse my deals, share it with somebody else. And they're also limited from those types of offers as well. So it's really kind of thinking ahead of like, what's even a potential worst case scenario, or just limiter. And, as we touched on, for limiting the number of people come in your offer, you may have a good enough list of people you just don't want to see coming in and trying to take advantage.
So after this is in place, like how frequently should somebody be using this?
It really depends. Some of our more built out flows, like our rebate automation comes to mind. We've processed, as of this month, over about $10 million in rebates. We have done a lot of rebates.
That's a lot of rebates.
Yeah. We have done a very large amount, and the flow that we offer for free has been the one that has been refined, and as many best practices as we can formalize has shown up in that flow. But it's pretty built out. It has a lot of the features that we're talking about. The limiter factor, it has the blacklist. It has optimized links baked in, to where when somebody takes advantage of your offer, they're going to do so through a link that has a keyword. Again, when I refer to optimized link, that's what I'm referring to. Kind of a two-step where it shows Amazon, okay, this keyword relevance for this product. It automates review requests. It automates support, automates delivering the rebate. So because it automates so many of those pieces, it's I think it's good to continue to watch the machine. It's really elegant in the way that it just facilitates all that activity. But that's a lot of benefits in one flow. When you're doing ranking, reviews, list building, all of that through one automation.
So I'm going to go back to that 10 million in rebates. That is an incredible amount of use. And I have to ask you, what's the weirdest item you've ever seen sold on Amazon? Because I'm thinking big numbers here.
Oh man. Keeping it PG.
Yes, please.
A lot of adult stuff.
I did a podcast with Mark Lewin last week, and the dude went there. He went there to adult products, and then he's like, yeah, and let me tell you about the questions that my mother-in-law was asking. I was like, please don't. But all right. So that's a good point. I need to PG that one in the future when I ask that question. I think the weirdest one I've ever seen is unicorn meat, and it's a total gag gift item, but it's my favorite because basically if you can find unicorn meat on Amazon, you can find anything, right?
Oh yeah.
So, all right. Okay. So there's probably some other advanced strategies outside of using a chat flow that you guys have that maybe even I am not aware of. Like, tell me about them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and I've kind of been knocking PPC when it comes to, using chat marketing, but I'm a big believer in getting that execution right. And there's features that we have, day parting, ad boosting, where you can increase your ad boost at a campaign product group level. So some of the more advanced PPC strategies are very fruitful, and we would definitely encourage utilizing that. It's just chat marketing and utilizing landing pages for automations.
So on day parting, I noticed that there's certain times of day when people are most likely to buy, and obviously Sunday and Monday is the best day of the week in general, based on what we continuously see. But is there a particular hour of the day that you think is the best time to run PPC? Just curious, based on what you've seen in the data.
Not a generally applicable, I would say. I mean, what we often see, and this can be, kind of market sensitive, what Amazon Marketplace you sell in and in the respective times of day, is that you'll often see that in your sales reports. You'll just see the peaks and the valleys become very apparent. And so generally, when I sort of educate on the use of our PPC tool, PPCS, it is start there. Look at your sales reports, and you'll start to map, whether you look at day over day and then you kind of analyze your week. You'll start to spot these very clear peaks and valleys. And if you're budget sensitive, obviously you can be more careful with that. But then at the same time, you can exponentially increase your ad spend, that ad boost type strategy, when you see, whether it's more of those peaks or even just the relative increase in some of that activity day to day.
Based on what I've seen, it's Monday between 7 and 9 p.m. is the best time of the week, bar none, across accounts. So that's what I've personally seen. Is there any other trends that you've seen in your tool that are just fun facts, interesting things that people might find novel?
Man, that's a good one. That's a good one.
If I'm putting you on the spot, maybe it'll come later. No big deal.
Yeah. The tricky thing with what we do with ManyChat, it's relatively hands off, and I'm also very careful. I have it's not a unique perspective. It's a nuanced perspective in terms of, as a seller, I'm a data person, but I'm also I'm a seller, and I also know that sellers are very sensitive. And so for us, even tracking that, where we see month over month over 1 million rebates a month, it's what I would call a soft metric, where it's we're not analyzing accounts and diving too far in, but we're looking at macro trends and seeing, okay.
And that's kind of what I'm seeking, but I like your brand position. I think that's just smart business on your end. As an agency owner, I manage 150 accounts. I also run my own account as a side hustle, but I will never get out of the funny wine glass business. So it's, that's how I get around that personally. But I like side hustling because it keeps my skills sharp. Right. So, but when you're running a SaaS company, it's a little bit different, right? You're seeing thousands of accounts instead of 150, and I get where you're coming from. All right. So I'll move on from that. Amazon has made it harder and harder for sellers in general. I call it the matriculation of the platform. They're entering the maturity phase of the product life cycle, if you will. You make sellers' lives easier, though. And so how have you felt about just in general the difficulty level on Amazon, and if you have any thoughts there? And you could speak from the perspective of API connections and tools and integrations, or maybe it got easier and I'm not educated there. Or you could talk about just the catalog issues and the seller central problems that everybody's facing. Just wherever you want to go with that's cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, right now we're in such a unique time. The data analysis, maybe this would have been a good point. What we were doing about a week before Prime Day, we were analyzing traffic trends on Amazon, and we were seeing around 85% of the traffic volume on any given day on Amazon being the same or the equivalent of last year's Prime Day. And so what that was reflecting is the fact that we were essentially having Prime Day sales volume and activity on Amazon on any given day of the week, non-Prime Day. So this all ships rising now with the exponential growth of e-commerce, and then of course Amazon is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. It's just an exceptional sandbox to be in, even with all the volatility, even with more seasoned products. I mean, we're continuing to bring brands online as of today. I mean, we're still seeing all of the potential, really, even amongst some of that saturation. But I think with how we deploy some of the tactics, and in some ways we both embrace Amazon and we game it. We sort of see, okay, what does Amazon reward? How does it give a benefit from one brand to the next as the catalog grows and grows? And that's really for us in terms of the tools that we use, the tactics we deploy. We sort of look at things like chat marketing and say, okay, Amazon does, rewards it, these types of activities, because we can own more of that customer journey. How can we then, direct customers in a unique way, or see how they're evaluating external traffic, or see how they're looking at quality of buyers, and how that's impacting review eligibility of ASIN. So we're diving into these different variables, but it's still it's such a great time to be in e-commerce and as a whole. But Amazon for sure. I mean, that's like I said, that's why we're continuing to invest in more brands hitting the space.
So I'm glad you went there with your answer, and just to kind of resonate with that, there's never been a better time to sell on Amazon, without doubt. The demand is just purely there. But at the same time, because the demand is so high, Amazon, they suspended 2.5 million accounts this year. They've taken down more listings, and they put robots in place, and it's no longer this human relationship. It's like a robot relationship with a platform. So that's kind of where I feel a lot of our listeners can resonate with just the sheer difficulty. And sometimes it's good to just say, hey, yeah, it's hard. But you're absolutely right. It's very worthwhile. Definitely agree there. All right. So as we look to 2021 and you think about like, wow, I wish there was a tool to do X, Y, Z, or maybe you're developing something that you can't reveal, but you want to talk about in high level, whatever you want to say is on this is fine. But like, what do you think is going to happen technology wise as we go into next year?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think on the Amazon side of things, it's been very clear how to the depth with which they're kind of approaching the platform. I think a lot of the signals with, we always sort of envisioned the desire to realize a very, almost like a social media platform, right? As Amazon becomes more media rich, A plus, EBC, different Amazon posts. They want customers spending more and more time on platform and engaging with that media, interacting, because it's intuitive, right? Ultimately, if somebody's going to invest that time, effort, and energy, they're probably going to complete some type of revenue generating activity. And so for us, I think as sellers, is we've got to see that writing on the wall, and also the evolution of pay to play, all these different ad types, ad reports, things that are just trickling out, whenever it's convenient for Amazon. It's stuff we have to stumble upon as sellers. I think that's going to continue to be the case coming into 2021. The emphasis on keywords is going to be more important, capturing that buyer intent, because all of that activity can just be noise. But ultimately, Amazon wants to deliver relevant results because that translates to conversions and revenue. So all of this writing on the wall coming into 2021, why I love strategies that give you the customer ownership is that when that external traffic piece, it becomes an A to B relationship. You engage and you communicate with the customer externally, but you kind of warm them up. You create that buyer intent through those external channels to where once they land on Amazon, yeah, they may see the noise of different ad types and different presentations of that. But ultimately, if you've done an effective job in that first step, you have a higher level of certainty than somebody else who's pay to play, who has limited control on platform, because then it's just a bid war, then it's optimization, then it's different ad type executions. It's going to get noisy really on Amazon. And that's where some of the excellence with keywords, buyer intent, and that external traffic piece will become, I think, more and more important. And then some of the variables that we touched on, the weight of external traffic, the source, the quality of the buyer. These are things that Amazon will analyze, and A9 will factor in to sort of figure out, hey, who's relevant, who's conversion ready as a listing on Amazon.
And then as we think about, today and the present, give me your 5-minute action somebody could go do today to grow their Amazon sales.
Yeah, that's a great question. What I would definitely say as a premise, as a starting point, is make sure you're pointing at and doing something that you can identify as truly different from your competition. I think a lot of sellers fall prey to potentially like a herd mentality of seeing maybe an effective strategy broadly shared, and then they get down on themselves because they see there's no fruits to everybody doing the same thing, right? And Amazon is a compare and contrast marketplace. You are very rarely in isolation. I touched on some of the things that may help that, but when you go shop on Amazon, you are usually inundated with a wide variety of products, unless you're directly linking to a detail page. So
I think this is a fantastic point, because like if you go look at any detail page right now, there are literally 100 ads of your competitor products showing up on your detail page, which is why we say things like make your A+ content super long and show up with social posts. Because if you don't, they're going to go down that rabbit hole and see your competitors. So I think your point of compare and contrast for differentiation is really good. But I'm going to go deeper on this question a little bit. What can I do to differentiate my product?
It's a great question. Yeah, great question. What I would say, and I mean, thinking about above the fold is, I'm a firm believer in tried and true optimization on Amazon. Keyword level, copywriting, images, videos in your image set, is make sure that first impression is absolutely as good as you can make it. And that's the interplay with optimization and conversion readiness, right? Because we focus heavily on optimization. You want the traffic piece, right? If you welcome 1,000 people versus 100, you're on a much better foot. But how are you conversion ready when you realize that impression and that session to ultimately translate into conversion? So this is where spending more time and investment on your images and welcoming a little bit of buyer psychology. This is where, again, you can fall prey to commoditized products and running strategies the same way as everyone else. That foundation, you really need to shake up if that's something that you're even possibly worried about. You need to uncommoditize your product, leverage some USPs, and then get your foundation right from both an optimization and buyer psychology perspective. And those are strong things. This is when I think you really start to move from opportunistic selling and creating a true business. Is you have a differentiated quality product, and you understand that you're on Amazon for a reason, and that is the leverage and the levers that give you that essentially give you the benefit. When you can send a product to a fulfillment center and tap into the largest commerce platform to ever exist, you already have a massive leg up. So get the foundational pieces right.
So Troy, if somebody wants to start doing some of these advanced strategies, here's your opportunity to give Seller.Tools a big plug. What can they do now? Take advantage of maybe your 14-day free trial, whatever it might be. Go ahead and plug Seller.Tools here.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely say take advantage of those free mini chat flows. If it is foreign to you now, that's going to give you a massive leg up. If you're already utilizing chat marketing, it's a great way to kind of compare some of the things that we've built out and developed. And as you mentioned, you have a 14-day free trial to try everything out. That includes mini chat, that includes keyword tracking, keyword managing, or keyword research, keyword tracking, listing optimization. There's about a dozen other tools that you can take full advantage of. But mini chat is, for me, it is the 80-20. It is ranking and reviews. And if you can automate those high value activities, a tool like ManyChat and what we do is just so effective with that.
Well, cool. Thank you so much for coming on the My Amazon Guy podcast, Troy. Really appreciate the insights. I thought you made a couple of really good, strong points and activities that people can go do to grow their Amazon sales.
Thanks, Stephen. Really appreciate it.
This was the My Amazon Guy podcast with Stephen Pope. Each episode helps you grow your sales on Amazon through ideas on traffic and conversion rate improvements. Hit that subscribe button right now to tune in each week. And if you need more help, go to myamazonguy.com.